Morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to our live event. I'm Steve Farrell with Humanities Team, coming to you live from our studio in Boulder, Colorado. I'm here with Debra Poneman, coming to you live from Southern California. I'm going to introduce her in just a moment, but Debra, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Steve, for inviting me. Any opportunity to spend time with you and your community, I'm in.
Back at you. Boy, we just love Debra Poneman. We're huge fans. And our theme today is creating true success. And boy, Debra is that. She will counsel you on how to create true, lasting, fullfilling success. So big shout out to all of our friends, the Yes to Success community, Debra Poneman's community, John Raymer, the Sign Network, Humanities Stream Plus members that are in the green room who are invited to come on camera here shortly, Humanities team members. So hey, just thank you for all of you being here with us. As you know, this is our time slot, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. We come to you live. So let me give you a proper introduction to Debra. And also, actually, before I do, I want to invite you to share your questions and comments on social media, wherever you might be. We have a team that's gathering up your questions and comments. They come right into the studio here. I can see them on camera. And we'll get to as many as we can. So the earlier that you bring a question to Debra, the better chance that we'll be able to share it on the air. Okay, so Debra Poneman is an award-winning keynote speaker, author, and seminar leader whose clients have included corporate executives, popular celebrities, New York Times best-selling authors, and even household names. As founder and president of Yes to Success, Inc., a company that applies her breakthrough methods for creating true success and prosperity, she has been instrumental in transforming the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Debra is part of numerous professional organizations, including Jack Canfield's Transformational Leadership Council and the Southern California Association of Transformational Leaders. She is also a founding member of the Evolutionary Business Council. So you can see she's helping people, training the trainers all over the world. Thanks for being here with me, Debra.
Well, again, thank you for inviting me. It's a great way to spend a Wednesday morning here in Southern California before it gets into the hundreds.
Yeah, boy, no kidding. We've had warmer weather here too. Stephanie and I were out walking our dog, Sadie, a little Portuguese water dog. And fortunately, it's a little cooler today. So, in fact, just gorgeous because like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was just steaming hot, and that's really not like Boulder. So I hope it's beautiful in your part of the world, viewers from wherever you're coming in from. So let me jump into this conversation. There's so many things I'd like to cover with Debra today. Now, one of the things you may or may not know about Debra is she is one of the pioneers in transformational education or conscious living that got this whole thing going back in the 1980s, right? So most of us were still doing our Western stuff here, Gantt charting things, creating a top and bottom line revenue targets and things like that in the 80s. Debra was out teaching, including a household name that's like a wow. I don't want to even share that name right now. We're going to go to a film clip here a little later of somebody who was standing in her audience, stood up and talked about what the change that he was going to bring to his career. And it was through Debra's teachings back in the 80s. So Debra, I'm always wondering kind of what that was like then to be bringing these teachings out and to be, you trained people that were working with you all over the world. This was before, of course, you had your kids. So just briefly, what was that world like for you?
Well, actually, you said that I began in the 80s. The truth is I began in the 70s. I became a teacher of transcendental meditation I went to teacher training in 1971. Don't go calculating how old I am. I know how old I am. But I started teaching then. So for the decade of the 70s, I taught meditation full time, and which I believe is the basis to true success. that inner silence has to be established first. It's like you can't build a building without a foundation. You can't build a building of success without that inner silence. So for the decade of the 70s, I had the privilege of teaching meditation to thousands. And then in around 1979, I had the realization that woman does not live by mantra alone. And I probably should start making some money. So I left the meditation community I was living in Fairfield, Iowa, and I moved to LA because I thought that's where I could make some money. I started selling investments. Not a good idea. I was not very good at it. However, LA was just starting to, the conscious community started taking shape. And a lot of these ideas, like your mind creates your reality, started being taught in like the learning, what was it called? The learning annex. And I happened to go to one of those programs, and the person there said that we are like tuning forks. And when a tuning fork is vibrating at a B flat, it can't draw into itself an F sharp. It repels an F sharp. And if we're always talking about how poor we are, we'll never get out of debt, I'll never find my soulmate, we vibrate with that, and we cannot draw into our lives our soulmate. We cannot draw into our lives. In fact, we repel prosperity. And these ideas were so revolutionary in my mind. And I just dove into studying them. This was 1980. And I founded my company in 1981. And it was crazy because, as you know, like Marcy Shimoff, who is, she is the woman's face behind Chicken Soup for the Soul, sold 16 million books, wrote Happy for No Reason, Love for No Reason. She came to one of my seminars and became my secretary. Janet Atwood, from the Passion Test, she actually came to one of my seminars, asked if she could work for me, and I put her on her first stage. And it was new to people then. Wow, your mind actually creates your reality. Your thoughts can actually move matter. I mean, now we all have come to believe that. But back then, it was so revolutionary. I mean, it was taught by people like Emmett Fox and Napoleon Hill and Catherine Ponder and Wallace Wattles, the great icons of true success and prosperity. But for us, it was revolutionary in the 80s. And it was a blast when people like, I know the person you're going to mention, but people who are just everyday people like doctors and lawyers and school teachers, and they came to my seminars and their eyes opened up and they realized that there was a lot more going on than they read in the morning news.
Yes, there is. Oh boy, my goodness. Yeah, most of us don't even watch the morning news. We have other ways of getting our news, but wow, what a story. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So now we're going to come back to actually that individual. In fact, we're going to see him in a clip here in just a moment. And we're going to talk more about this whole trend that started 70s, 80s, where we are today, something called Changing Humanity's Future. But I want to get to that later because I want to right now jump into, Yes for Success, right? This was the program, organization Debra started. So, and she talks about true success. So let's go now right straight into that. So Debra, how do you define true success?
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you a Webster dictionary definition. I'm going to say at this point in the genesis of our society, and more specifically, the humanities team community, there are not a lot of people who believe the old paradigm of success. We know that it has nothing to do with the size of your bank account or having your name in lights. I mean, how many people do we know who got it all and believed that they would feel the emptiness inside, that they would have self-love, that they would feel like I am successful when they got the big house and the top of the line Mercedes, now Tesla, or a best-selling book. They got those things and they still felt empty inside. And we read about it in the newspaper. They became top, actors or on the music scene, and they take their own lives because of the despair is so deep. But as I mentioned already, true success can only come from the inside. Loving yourself, deeply loving what is, not just giving lip service to, oh, everything's perfect, but knowing deep within yourself that all is well. You know, Byron Katie's body of knowledge called The Work is based on the realization that when you believe that something should be different than it is, you suffer. Byron Katie said, for example, that when she believed something like, my husband should be nicer to me, or I should have gotten that promotion, and the reality is that he isn't, and she didn't, she suffered. And that when she didn't believe those thoughts, when she didn't believe that anything should be any different than exactly as it is, she felt peace. And her awakening to this knowledge allowed her to see that what had been causing her deep depression was not the world around her. And we got to take note of that now. But her belief that the world around her should be different than it was. That doesn't mean that we don't go out and do things to make a better world. But if we want to create true success, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens to you, what you do about what happens to you. Katie says that our attempt to find happiness is backwards. Instead of hopelessly trying to change and control the world and the people in your life to match your thoughts about how it or they should be, we can instead question our thoughts. And by loving exactly life as it is, we can experience freedom in the end of suffering. So I believe that true success is loving what is, but at the same time, what also brings, what does fill that emptiness is going out and contributing to making the world a better place. It seems like a paradox, but you can accept reality as it is at the same time that you can go out and change it. You know, there is a study done, I believe it was at the National Institutes of Health, where people were given a sum of money and they had 1 hour to go out and buy something with it. And then when they came back, they measured their oxytocin level, you know, the feel-good hormone. And some people had, you know, high oxytocin. Other people, their oxytocin was through the roof. And what they discovered was that the people whose oxytocin was through the roof were the people who went out and took their money and bought something for someone else.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I mean, I believe it. And I'm not going to jump off into the science, but other than to say that, of course, science has been affirming this for a long, long time. Recently, now, you know, in our contemporary world, we've got Nassim Haramein with his whole unified field theory and his scientists and these mathematics individuals that work with him down in Southern California. And we've been through all of the science because we created a masterclass around it with Nassim and Greg. And when he distills it all down to try and get to just like a sentence, he says, you and everything in the universe is sovereign to one body. So now this is a scientist. He's not going to God, the divine, you know, he doesn't care about the word. Call that one body whatever you like. But in other words, you're made. You are created. Just like our cells in our body and our organs are created for, in my case, for Steve Farrell, we're all made now, this hold on thing, right? We're made now to be in service to this world around us. That, you know, a healthy cell or organ in this body of life is what scientists are now saying. So, which would then tell us exactly why this would be the case, right? Here, Deborah, because, you know, versus going off and, you know, drinking too much alcohol and doing hedonistic things that, as you mentioned, aren't, you know, wow, this isn't very fun. And yet, where we're there in service doing beautiful things, it's like, oh, this really feels good.
Yeah. And as you say, the science is there. It stimulates the oxytocin more than doing things for ourselves or trying to control our environment or trying to change others, but loving what is and loving people as they are. That's one of the paths to ending suffering.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, love it. So Deborah, let's go a little deeper now, because in fact, you create whole programs, you know, weekends, actually weeks of training around this. So I know we're flying at a high level here, but how do individuals and how do we collectively get started on this path into true success? You've mentioned several times, you know, well, certainly you mentioned transcendental meditation and stilling the world. So I know that's a part of it, but what are things you'd recommend for people that really that get it and say, I'd like to, take me a little further, Debra?
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to mention about meditation is that, I always recommend a transcending type of meditation, either TM or the meditation taught through the art of living, because when we transcend, we contact that field of unbounded silence and we bring that silence back into our lives. And the great teacher and the hugging saint, Amaji, she said, and it's a quote, at this time in creation, it is important to be committed to your spiritual practices so that when the world shakes, you will remain unshakable. And I believe that one of the best ways to remain unshakable is to do a transcending type of meditation where you contact that infinite, unbounded silence. That having been said, when we come out, there are also our energetic things that we can do to move the needle towards more self-love, more acceptance of what is. I mean, there are so many, Steve. I'll just pull out one of my favorites. One is radical honesty. We love ourselves when we are truthful. No white lies, no excuses. When we tell the whole truth to somebody, we just feel so good about ourselves on the inside. Our friend and co-founder of Humanity's Team, and of course, our new initiative, Changing Humanity's Future, Neil Donald Walsh, in one of his daily messages from God, one of the favorite things he says, I've memorized it. He says, I think I've memorized it. He says that truth spoken is a gift given. Truth withheld is more than a gift denied. It's an arrow aimed at the heart. And then he goes on to say, it's been said that the truth hurts, but the exact opposite is true. No truth is hurtful and no lie is harmless, because every truth opens your heart to another person and every lie separates you from another person. He also said that nothing good is ever created by deception. And Amanda Gorman, remember Amanda Gorman, that gorgeous young poet who spoke at Biden's inauguration?
Oh,
she
yeah.
said truth, right? She says that it's time for us. She said lack of truth, it causes this rift between you and me. And when we tell the truth, we look higher and we move higher. And I'm sure that I butchered her quote, but not even the smallest untruth, not even the most well-intended white lie, Neil says this, will produce benefit in the long run. So tell your truth as soon as you know it. And that is a sure path to self-love. Gratitude is another way to move the needle towards true inner success. But having gratitude, not just for the great things that happen in our lives, but also the bad, because really there is no such thing as bad. One of the things that I teach is when you ask the Creator for something, you pray for something, that the Creator will only give you one of three answers. Yes, here it is. Not yet, be patient. Or I love you too much to give you that thing. There's something better on its way. So when you don't get the job, you don't get the promotion, the man or woman that you want doesn't seem to want you, I always teach my students, say thank you to the God of your understanding. Because when you say thank you instead of, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? When you say thank you with the sure knowledge that there's something better on its way, it opens up the space to receive much more quickly. When you're in why me contraction mode, there's no space for the good, the better that's waiting for you. So how does this help us collectively? I'll give you one more analogy. In the in Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical text, it says that there is a light of grace that shines on all of us, just like the sun shines on all of us. And it shines on everybody, not just Black people, not just white people, not just old people. The sun shines on everybody, and the light of grace shines on all of us. So if we're down here and the light of grace is up here, but there are veils, according to Kabbalah, there are veils between us and the light of grace. And every time we face like a biggie in our lives, like maybe we're scared to speak up and we do it. It removes a veil between you and the light of grace. Maybe you do an act of kindness. Maybe you do something selfless. Maybe whatever is challenging for you, maybe it's being kind to your mother-in-law. It removes a veil between you and the light of grace. And when that light of grace can shine more and more on you, you see that right outside your realm of vision. When the light shines on you and the darkness is removed, you'll see, oh, there's my soulmate. There's that opportunity. There's that perfect house. And when the light of grace shines on you, you're also seeing that it shines on the entire world. So it illuminates your life, and at the same time, it illuminates the planet. So all the things that we can do to remove veils, whether it's radical honesty, whether it's not being negative. I always teach my students, go on the 7-day mental diet. You know, Emmett Fox's famous diet, 7 days of no blaming, shaming, complaining, 7 days of no negativity. Catch yourself, switch up your thoughts, say something good about the person instead of saying what a jerk they are. If you can do it for just 7 days, even though it'll be harder than any physical fasting that you could possibly do, your life will dramatically change and you will bring more light to the world.
Yeah. Oh boy, I love both of these. So this light of grace, especially now, I mean, we're going to come back to this toward the end of the hour and talk about our Changing Humanity's Future initiative. But as we know, there's so much dysfunction and challenge, and even you could call it darkness in the world. And boy, if there were ever a moment where humankind and the planet are just inviting, you know, what we're calling the light of grace, where we, you know, this whole, we're sovereign to one body. So in humanity's team, we call that the divine or God, right? So, I mean, wow, that's a big wow. So the creator in you. So it's actually here now, right? There's no separation, here right now. So all this is just standing up in the fullness of it. You are, you know, the son, the offspring of God, you know, right here, right now in this challenging time. And it's the most natural thing in the world, actually, to be the light of grace, as you mentioned, Deborah. So love that. And then this truth, you know, I was reading a while back also, well, first of all, Conversations with God, unbelievable. 137 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. I left Silicon Valley and being an entrepreneur because of Conversations with God. I believe today, and I believe then, this was God, you know, talking through those books. There's these jaw-dropping statements like what you were bringing in, Deborah. They're just everywhere. It's a treasure trove of these, of, oh my God, this wisdom, unbelievable. And Neil says, don't think it was me. You know, I was asking the questions. But do not think, you know, that was me, other than that I'm a part of that, which is the one, you know. But Benjamin Franklin back in his day said with the clubs he was forming, to love the pursuit of truth for the sake of the truth. And wouldn't that be wonderful in today's world with these challenges going on, where we really love the truth and where we want to go down deeper into understanding different sides of things to really get to the truth and not just be not just stay where, you know, in the particular demographic that we're in of, oh, I don't want to go over there, that's not my demographic, but, you know, where we see everybody in the world has something to contribute. We really listen carefully to everything to get to the truth, the absolute truth. So I love these, Deborah. Thank you. Okay, one more here, and then we're going to go and take a look at this clip that we have. It's a clip from, there are actually 29 programs that Debra has on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. So, and for people that aren't familiar with Humanity Stream Plus, just briefly I'll share, it's a revolutionary conscious streaming platform. There are hundreds of programs on it. We dropped the price from all the way down to $3.99 a year now. We'll talk a little more about it later, but Debra has 29 programs on the platform. We've brought 31 or 33 new programs to Humanity Stream Plus already this year alone. So it's a wow. We're trying to get it into every home on the planet. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. So we do everything the opposite. Let's get the price down. Let's get it into every home. It's all about positive change, right? And this transformational journey where we become transformed and really understand who we are, why we were born into the world, and how we can create true success, what we're talking to Debra about here today. So this one other question here, Debra, can this creating real prosperity in all of its forms. So of course people are going to think about financial, but there's so many other forms of prosperity that you bring in here when you talk about true success. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Wow. Okay. Prosperity, my favorite subject. Well, if you want to create real prosperity in all its forms, what you need to do, again, there are all these energetic ways to bring in more grace into our lives. Radical honesty, having gratitude, loving what is. And there's another one that I love, which is giving others what you want for yourself. Now, and I'm not talking about that cashmere sweater, which we're going to need really soon, especially in Colorado, but I'm going to explain. And I was just talking about this the other night on a class I was teaching. So, and I'm going to do a little true confessions here, okay? Over 4 decades ago, when I started teaching transformational work, actually well over 4 decades, actually it's over 5 decades. I've been a meditation teacher over 50 years. Wow. Okay. So over 4 decades ago, when I started teaching transformational work and started refining the way that I lived my life, because I wanted to be the teacher living the teaching. I didn't want to be the teacher who gave lip service to the teaching. But I noticed that I was always spontaneously, here comes the true confession, looking for ways that other people were not good enough or where they felt short. And I know you're probably shocked that that was like my modus back then, or where they were lacking, because I was aware that I never felt good enough. That somewhere along the line, that seed was planted. I remember I was in a women's group, and we each had a little stuffed animal. It was a pig, and it was named after our alter ego. And my pig was named Good Enough, because that was my alter ego. Again, this is 40 years ago. But what do you do to feel good enough? I mean, do you look in the mirror like Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live and say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me? Well, you could do that, but you could also do something else. I realized that I was looking for what wasn't good enough about others as my way of trying to make me feel better about myself. I wanted to make myself feel like I was good enough by finding their weaknesses. But just the opposite was happening. Because of the power of attention, the more I put my attention on what wasn't good enough about others, the more not good enough I felt. Do you see? Because I was putting my attention on their lack and limitation. What we put our attention on grows in our life. And when I became aware of what I was doing, I became completely committed to having no fascination whatsoever with what wasn't good enough. And instead, to not only look for what was wonderful and good enough about others, but since whatever we want in our lives, we can get it by giving it to others, I began making it a point, whenever possible and appropriate, to complimenting the wonderful things I saw in them and rejoicing in their success and their wins, things that I didn't have, and those things that made me feel not good enough. For example, like if someone was a speaker, I used to watch them with a critical eye. And then I switched and I looked for what they were doing right and not wrong. And it was like a miracle, really. And it has so aligned me with that high vibration of grace. I just did it yesterday. Somebody was annoying me on a call. We were having a planning call for my beautiful daughter's wedding. She's getting married in like 10 days. And this woman is a fabulous organizer. And I'm thinking, and she was just doing everything. And I'm thinking, but it's my daughter's wedding, because I want to be the best at everything for her wedding. And then I caught myself and I looked for what she was doing great. And in the private chat, I said, you are so good at this. And you would have thought that I gave her a gold brick. She texted me back that means so much coming from you. And then my daughter thanked me for being so kind to her friend. And it was like back and forth love fest. And of course, what I did was I complimented. As soon as I saw myself being critical, I looked for the good and I gave that. And then it made me, and now I don't have to look for what's weak about somebody because I am filled up myself. I know that I am enough. I deeply know I'm enough. But that was one of the techniques that gave me unbounded prosperity in the area of life that's the most important. And then what happens is when you feel good enough, in my case, and you feel worthy, then material prosperity starts flowing. Prosperity of relationships starts flowing. Prosperity of opportunity starts flowing. So the bottom line, and of course, it also has to do with not judging. We've been talking about the Creator. The Creator doesn't judge. The Creator, God, sees the beauty and loves all of his children equally. He loves the drug dealer as much as he loves the light worker. We have to be more like God, right? He loves the homeless man sleeping on a park bench. She, as much as she loves the president of the country. Those of us who are parents or guardians or godparents, if you have one child who gets straight A's and wins all the awards and another who seems to struggle, do you love the struggler less? I think not. I think maybe we love the struggler more. But the Bible says that we are all made in the image of God. It doesn't say, and then God made some of us in his image, right? No, God says she made all of us in her image. Do you really want to vibrate with prosperity? One of my favorite quotes from Mahatma Gandhi: if you can't see God in the next person you meet, you need look no further. So again, you give what you want in your own life, right? And also you see God in everyone. I'm going to unbutcher that Amanda Gorman quote, because what she said is, lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. Prosperity in all the important ways will shower on us when we don't see the weakness in other people, but we see the highest in other people. And then we'll see it in ourselves.
Amen. Beautifully stated there, Debra. Thank you. Yeah. So conversations with God, it says we're God-godding. So which doesn't mean obviously that we're always perfect and excellent, and we're, because we're down here as humans and we have our moments. But it does mean, boy, I absolutely believe when we return to that absolute realm, that's what it is. That's the container. Everything is perfect like that. It's the words actually can't express what that feeling is, where now it's all God and it's all good. And we had to do the life review thing where we talk about it quite frequently on this program, where we're at the end of our life seeing ourselves through other people's eyes, that we're all a part of us, of course, because we're all one. During our journey, we don't look at our bank account or cars or home, or we're just looking at ourselves through others and seeing how that feels, so that we can get really better and better and better at what Debra is sharing. And even where it all gets turned around, so to the extent God is guiding through that homeless person, through that challenged person, to really kind of feel into that and to say, what is my role here? And that's not easy either. Don't want to go too far down that path. But we absolutely are the grace of God thing that Debra was talking about earlier. Yes, I know you've got something more.
I just want to add one other thing, and that is, I love that God is guiding through us. Oh my God, that is so brilliant. And I just want to throw in one other, I'm a technique person, because I believe that people, they want guidance. That's why, I love on Changing Humanity's Future, we have the 10 action steps that through Neil that God is giving us. So it's one of the exciting things about Changing Humanity's Future. But the other thing that I teach people, if they want to have a prosperous life, if they want to have a rich life, if they want to have true success, that we treat everybody like the peace of God that they are on earth. You know, Steve, I don't know if you've ever been, probably you have, we all have been in maybe a social situation or a business situation, and you're telling somebody something that is really meaningful to you. And they're doing one of these, like they're looking around the room to see if there's somebody more important to talk to than you. And what I say, you know, maybe they're looking for someone to make the business deal with, but I say when we do God's work on earth, which is treating the person in front of us like the most important person in the world, then God will do our work and will bring you that contact, will bring you that business partner, will bring you the opportunity. And so we don't have to do those things ourselves if we are Godding, if we are Godding on earth. I just love that. And seeing that person, because at any given moment, that person right in front of you is the most important person on earth. That's how Marcy Shamoff became my secretary. She came to Yes to Success. It was, you know, in the early 1980s, when there were hundreds of people in my audience, my live audiences, and this cute little bouncy college student says, "I want to work for you. I want to work for you." I didn't think, what could this tiny little adorable college student do for me? You know, Debra Poneman, my seminars are being taught all over the world. And no, I treated her as the most important person in the world because she was in front of me at that moment. And I have to say, the ideas and the brilliance that Marcy brought to Yes to Success was absolutely a turning point in my career. So you do God's work, God will do for you. Do God's work for him, her, she will do your work for you.
Oh boy, that is so true. Yeah, of course, what's said is that here is give unto the kingdom, right? And then all things are given unto you. And oh my God, that's, if you want to hear the story of my life, there you've got it. Because the things I have, you know, the people in my life, the work I do, my home, you know, on and on and on. It's that boomerang effect, you know, where, just as you mentioned, there's no agenda. We're just there, you know, for the bigger agenda. And God says, "Oh boy, that was beautiful," and whew, this thing comes back, you know. The woman that you meet, the kids that you have, the house that you have, and on the kids that you have, that doesn't mean it's a walk on water. You all may know, you know, I've got some challenges in my home, but boy, I mean, I wouldn't trade my kids for anything. I love them to the end of the earth. I'm here as their dad for a reason. So beautiful gifts don't come in. It's not like a Saks Fifth Avenue type packaging. We have to look deeper than that to really look into the inside, into the interior, you know, of everything, and then we'll see the true gift. Okay, let's go to now. People are probably on pins and needles. Who was this person that they've been mentioning that was in the audience that stood up and said something in one of those programs back in the 80s with Debra Poneman? Let's go to a clip that also gets to a very important message, even as we reveal that person's name. Let's go take a look at it, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Here, my friends, is what I know for sure. The obstacle, the challenge, the pain might as well have a sign on it that says, "This is what you incarnated for. This is what you came here for. This is why you're on this earth at this time." There's a concept in Kabbalah, which is the Jewish mystical text, also called Kabbalah, that we didn't incarnate by chance, but for a reason. And that reason is tikkun. And tikkun means to correct or repair. So what are we here to correct? Well, it's not that there's anything wrong with us, but as I said in Module 1, we each come here with baggage from previous lifetimes. All the situations where we didn't complete something with someone, or get it right, or gain the wisdom. So we incarnate to get it right this time. Have you ever wondered why it is that each of us have such distinct challenges in our lives? And that sometimes it's so easy to see what other people need to work on, what they came here for, but we can't seem to see what our tikkuns are? Some of us came in with tikkuns around money. For some, money just seems to practically grow on trees. but they just keep struggling with their relationships. Some have all the money and the loving relationships, but their health is a challenge. If you can't speak up for yourself, that's one of your cocoons that you came here to correct. If you feel like you're going to die if you speak your truth, that's what you didn't get right last time. If you keep marrying the same man who treats you badly or doesn't love you, that's your cocoon. If you keep getting yourself in financial messes, that's your cocoon. Do you find it hard not to lie or exaggerate? Do you have an addiction? Do you feel that people don't listen to you or respect you? Why is that? Why is it that whatever you do, these same people keep showing up in your life in different bodies? It's because it's your cocoon, and they don't have to change. You do. And if you don't know what your cocoon is, and we all have many, I can tell you, it's whatever scares you. It's what you run away from. It's whatever you accept in your life that you should not be accepting. It's what frustrates you. It's all the people in your life who keep showing up in different forms and abusing you or taking advantage of you or trying to love you. The secret to living in the light of grace is changing our behavior patterns that make up our cocoons. And with this understanding, you can no longer be a victim or blame other people or make excuses or get mad at God. These situations are your gift from the Creator. We didn't come here to have everything handed to us on a silver platter. If there were nothing for us to learn, we wouldn't have taken a human birth.
Okay, gosh, I think we had two clips. I guess the other one had in it, it was Deepak Chopra. So that was beautiful. We're going to talk about that. But Deepak Chopra, do you want to just quickly tell that story of what happened, Debra?
Yeah, well, it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny because I have so many people who are like famous people who were in my seminars in the early 1980s. And I usually don't name drop, but if you're specifically asking, I think he was an endocrinologist. Anyway, I was teaching in Boston at Harvard, and he came to one of my seminars, and he actually brought his wife and his brother and sister-in-law and his best friend Ramesh. And then later on, he had me come to his house and do a course for his whole family, and his kids were there. But what I do at the end of my live seminars is I have everybody stand up and make a commitment. And this is in the early 1980s. And we would all put our attention on that person, whatever was their commitment. We would visualize them in possession of that commitment that they were making or that desire. And he actually stood up. I have it on tape. He said he wanted to write a book that showed the relationship between Eastern and Western medicine. And we all visualized it as a bestseller. And within a couple of years, he had that bestseller. And do I take credit for it? I mean, I never do, because it's like, how do we know it wouldn't have happened anyway? But he was a doctor and he was not doing transformational work. And the next thing we know, he quit doctoring and became Deepak Chopra. So that is the story, and God bless him. He's done such great work for the world. So if I played a little teeny part in it, then I'm very grateful that I was able to.
Yeah, well, this is where you were talking about the whole grace of the light, and this is where, you know, God actually puts us in this place to do this thing, to reach these audiences, to have to incubate and support people like Deepak and others, Marcy Shimoff, all over the world that have, you know, where once we commit, this is that boomerang thing, give unto the kingdom. So we say, oh, I love this. This is true. I'm going to bring this to the world. It's just the bigger agenda. There is no smaller agenda. And then look what happens. Oh my God. Amazing. So amazing. Also, I didn't want to speed past this cocoon thing that you're bringing in, which is so important, because as we know, so many people are like, what is the, why am I here, and what are the things I'm working on? And you get so clear about that. So thank you. Also, I want to mention again, Debra has 29 programs on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. She just brought in something, Seeds from the Soul, And then just last year with Christy Whitman, created a new kind of power masterclass. So she has 29 programs on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. I think if you go into these programs, the first module is unlocked. So you can go in, I invite you, go check out. So Seeds for the Soul, also New Kind of Power, go into the first module, watch these. It's unbelievable the wisdom that Debra brings in. As she mentions, she lives it. This is how she's been climbing that ladder of wisdom in her own life, and now bringing it to the world, and it's just phenomenal. So I invite you to check out her 29 programs on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. Okay, let me start bringing in questions because we've got a bunch of them here. So thank you, viewers. So there's somebody in the green room here, Paul. So this is a Humanity Stream Plus member, and he says, fear and anxiety prevent me, and I guess many people, from making progress on various fronts in life. What advice would you give to make progress on this issue?
Meditate.
Meditate.
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, people who are here today that are listening to this, that are members of Humanity Stream, we have volunteered to be the leader and the charge to counteract the darkness. And I know Patricia Cota-Robles is another person who's on Humanity Stream, isn't she, Patricia?
Oh, amazing. Suzanne Giesman, they've got a new program coming out with both of them here the next few weeks. Yeah.
So Patricia says that many, many, many thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of souls tried to come in at this time, but not everybody was chosen. The people who were chosen were the ones who are going to be the bearers of the light. So I hope that gives you goosebumps, because that is you. That is you. You incarnated to be one of the bearers of light at this time to counteract the darkness. And it's a big job. And right now, you are very sensitive to the collective. And the collective is this growing fear. So you're like, why do I feel so fearful? Why do I feel so much anxiety? Well, it's because you are a sensitive being, and there is a vibration of fear on earth. But how lucky are we that we have tools like meditation? Steve, you know this, that I teach through the Art of Living Foundation now, and I teach meditation, and I know that there are meditation programs on Humanity Stream that are excellent. And I also recommend the breath practices through the Art of Living Foundation. I know Sri Ravi Shankar was also a guest on Global Oneness Day several times, which is coming up soon. Yay. And but there are many techniques that you can do that have been scientifically proven to reduce anxiety, to reduce fear, because fear could be lodged in your body. It is lodged in our bodies because it comes from outside in. So what I would recommend, Paul, is number one, find a great meditation practice. I, again, recommend transcending types of meditation, because you contact that transcendent, the inner silence, through either the TM organization or the Art of Living Foundation. And because it does change your physiology, it makes your physiology much more flexible. You know, if something happens that's fearful, usually it makes an impression on your nervous system. It's like a line on stone. And then anytime, like people who have PTSD, they go to war and they're in a war zone, and then they come home and a garbage can lid, clangs. I don't know. We don't have those kind of garbage can lids anymore. Or a motorcycle goes by really quickly and they duck for cover because they have that PTSD. We all have some degree of PTSD in our physiology. So what I recommend is you do something like an effective meditation or the Art of Living breath course, where it teaches how to actually blast that stress out of your physiology by doing these certain types of breath. So basically, and one other thing you could do at the moment is, when you're feeling stress, when you're feeling anxiety, breathe into it. Just breathe into it. Breathe into it. If it's in your heart chakra and your throat chakra and your solar plexus, breathe into it in your gut. Send it light, send it love. And you can even ask it what it's there to teach you. And that often helps to dissipate it. But in the long run, learn one of these techniques.
Yeah,
that helps.
Beautiful. Yes, it does. I'm speaking for Paul. I know he's grateful. Thank you. Beautiful, Debra. Let me bring in some comments. So Myra says, Debra is a wonderful and rare gem of a human being. So happy to have this opportunity today. Thank you. Thank you for that, Myra. I know she's speaking for lots of people. Janice says, every time I hear you speak, Debra, you are so full of awesome energy. What's your personal secret?
I'll tell you my personal secret is that I do not teach anything that I don't do. And that means that if I teach my students to live with radical honesty, no matter how difficult it is, it puts us in the stream of grace. It puts us in the stream of high vibration. It puts us in the stream of love. If we have gratitude, if we go on the 7-day mental diet, I don't just tell people to meditate. I've been meditating at least 20 minutes twice a day for over 52 years. It'll be 53 years in October, on October 30th. I do all of those. I do my breath practices every day. And because again, like what the Hugging Saint said, these are the times we have to cling to our spiritual practices so that when the world shakes, we will remain unshakable. And also diet is so important. And there's so many great programs on Humanity Stream on diet, eating alive foods, eating foods that give you that vibrant energy and that don't drain you. I haven't had a grain of sugar in years because sugar is a drug and sugar makes you dull and sugar makes you age. I teach another course on anti-aging. Sugar is the first thing that goes. Sugar actually causes brain inflammation and it gives you that. Now, what did I come in this room for a moment? Because the axon and the dendrite, these neurotransmitters need to communicate in your brain. And when you eat sugar, they shrivel. And that's what causes lack of communication and leads to dementia, leads to Alzheimer's. So all of those things that I teach other people to do, I do. And do I slip up sometimes? You better believe it. Because I am human. And when I slip up, then I put my hand on my heart because it stimulates oxytocin. There's so many great teachers on Humanity Stream. Heart math, you put your hand on your heart, it stimulates oxytocin. And even if you screwed up, you forgive yourself. You feel better by putting your hand on your heart and say, I forgive you, you're only human. But so many of these things that I'm saying that I do, there are whole programs on Humanity Stream that will help you to get on this path.
There are so many programs, yes, on nutrition and diet. Yeah, and isn't Debra, she is the fountain of youth, isn't she? I mean, just and vibrant, fantastic. And diet is so important. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And I just want to say thank you for that compliment. I didn't say thank you properly. Was it Myra or Myrna? One of those beautiful names.
Myrna. Yes. So now let me, more compliments. Deborah Myers, so she's in the green room. She's actually also faculty. She has an amazing programs on Humanity Stream Plus herself. She's out in Northern California. And she says, so appreciative of you, Deborah. Every time I hear you speak, I receive more nuggets of gold. Thank you. So that's from Deborah's really, wow, she's out there teaching teachers all over the world too. So fantastic. And okay, then Derek says, so if I can go 7 days being only positive, I'll have kicked negativity out of my life? ? My wife would love me for this for good reason. Okay.
The 7-day mental diet, you can go on Amazon and get this little booklet by Emmett Fox called The 7-Day Mental Diet. And I have to tell you, Derek, just so you don't think you'll read the book and you'll do it for 7 days, it took me, through confessions, 33 years, starting with day 1 to make it through 7 days. But even if you just make it through 1 day, or even if you make it just through a few hours, at least you start having the awareness, because it's a boomerang effect. You put out negativity like, oh, well, that'll never happen, or this world sucks, or that, all of these things. I use the word cancel. You could have any kind of stop word, cancel, and you say something that you do want to happen, because as Catherine Ponder says in her classic book, your word is your wand. And I know we don't have time for me to go into my near-death experience, but years ago, 5 years ago, when I was in a state where it did not look like I was going to live, and I was in that state between life and death, and my husband, my former husband, my best friend, was in the room with tears streaming down his face because it looked like I was going to die. A nurse came over, put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine." And in that place between life and death, I saw her words, "She's going to be fine," come out of her mouth, go into my body, and give me all my strength back. A few minutes later, the doctor came in, saw my blood pressure was at like 52/28. And again, I had an advanced sepsis, an acute sepsis. I had 2 deadly bacteria in my body. The doctor looked at the monitors and said, "Get that blood pressure up or we're going to lose her." And when he said, "We're going to lose her," in that space between life and death, I saw the words come out of his mouth, "We're going to lose her." It smelled like a swamp. It was this brown gray color. It went into my body and it took all of my strength away. And in that moment, I said to God, "Please let me live. And I'm going to tell people the power of their words." It's not just some airy-fairy concept. Oh, what you say will become a reality. I saw it in that place between life and death. And I also made the commitment at that moment that I'd never say anything I didn't want to happen about another person. I used to say, "Oh, my son, this isn't it. Like, if his head wasn't screwed on, he'd forget it." I didn't say that, but I would say things about him. I would say things about my daughter. But when I saw that the words go into that person's physiology, I said, I will never again say anything that I don't want to happen, especially about my children. And you know what? Again, have I been perfect? No. Have I been about 99%? Yes. It changed my relationship with my kids. It changed my kids. Not that I was trying to change them. You get it. But your word absolutely is your wand. So 7-day mental diet. Yes, your wife will love you. And yes, you will love you. But read the instructions, because you can't go off and on the diet. You can't be positive for a few hours, then say something scathing about like a politician, and then go back on. If you go off, you have to stay off for a few days before you go back on. So get the little book, 7-Day Mental Diet, and maybe do it together with people in your family and see what happens.
Great. Okay. Wonderful advice there. Fantastic wisdom. So yes, thought, word, and deed, right? These are the tools of creation. So what we're thinking, then what we say, and then what we do, this is how we manifest. And everything's created twice. So boy, I mean, so much focus on thought, word, and deed, because that's where we're going, and if we want to know what we did the last 10 years, where are we right now? where we are right now, this is the result of our creation process these past 10 years. So now, okay, as we talk about this, we're going to wrap up. I mean, our hour, doggone it, Debra, this thing has gone so fast. Fortunately, Debra is part of the Global Oneness Summit again this year, 2022 Global Oneness Summit. She's got 29 programs on Humanity Stream Plus. We'll have her back again and again. She's on our board of advisors. We work very closely with Debra. She's magnificent, as everybody's sharing and as we know. So let me just, as we wrap up, I want to come back to this whole changing humanity's future. So for people that don't know, Humanities Team is a 501c3 nonprofit based in the United States. So we're not top line growth, bottom line growth. No. We go the other way. Our whole thing is to make conscious living. This is what all of these things we're talking about kind of fit under an umbrella that we're calling conscious living, which could be awakening to oneness or unity consciousness, or there are different terms. We're going to call it conscious living because conscious evolution is out there as a thought, and we want to evolve our consciousness. We want to uplift our consciousness. And our thing is within 18 years, we were inspired to bring through an initiative that said, within 18 years, let's make conscious living pervasive worldwide, right, by 2040. So, and then with Neale Donald Walsch, who we've been talking about, a co-founder of Humanities Team, he's the author of the Conversations with God books, we created then this initiative called Changing Humanity's Future. If you go to humanitiesteam.org and scroll down, you'll see a yellow bar where you can click to go into the Changing Humanity's Future initiative. It describes it. God, in these 9 Conversations with God books, that's why it's called Conversations with God. Neale asks the questions, God responds. The wisdom is so earth-shattering that the books have spent 137 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. People all over the world have read the books and said, oh my God, where did this wisdom come from? Well, guess what? I mean, and is it so strange that with all that's going on in the world, God wouldn't decide, hey, let's have a public conversation, maybe bring a little clarity, to things on the earth, and maybe a few action steps, to kind of go in a direction to create a sustainable and fulfilling world. Maybe let's have a conversation and we'll put that into the books. Well, so we've distilled that down in this Changing Humanity's Future initiative. When you go in, you'll see the quotes, what exactly God is saying. Here's a vision for where you are, which, by the way, it says that the hardest part of the journey is behind us. Yes, behind us. So, and you're already, so keep going. You're going to get there. And this is the perfect time for advancement. You're one decision away. So much more. Go in, read about the initiative. Up at the top, there's an action steps button that Debra was referring to, the 10 action steps. Click on that action steps button, and it'll share, these are things you can do, which, of course, it's going to talk about following the impulse of our soul and things like that. Much more than that. Go check it out. We invite you to partner with us. Right now in this day and age where there's all this hand-wringing of, oh my gosh, shooters and Supreme Court and politics have gone wrong and climate change and Ukraine war and right on and on and on. Let's focus on what we're saying here. We're creators. Let's focus on this being that grace of light thing, right? And how we can follow our own soul's impulse and we can be the light in the room. And then when we do this together, voila, we have a planet that's living consciously 18 years from now. So we invite you to do that with us. Debra is a big leader in this with us. Of course, Neale Donald Walsch, Michael Bernard Beckwith, many others, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Lynn McTaggart, Nassim Harriman. So, and you, the viewer, because guess what? How are we going to do this with all of us? You on the playing field with us where we're doing it together. So invite you to join us on this journey. Come back next week. We've also got an incredible special guest. Debra Poneman will be back with us. The Global Oneness Summit is around the corner. Boy, be sure to put that on your calendar. October, I think it's 15 to 24 this year. And as we close, let me just thank all of the people, Debra's assistants, my colleagues and partners. We'll draw the camera back so you can see the studio here. We've got Jim Gray in the studio. See, there's me on the couch. Jim over there. He's directing, producing our program here today. Thank you, Jim. Karen Gordon leads the writing team that created all of this. Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall, Timothy, Noah, and others. So thank you to our colleagues that have helped create this program and communicate it to the world. So have a fabulous week, everybody, and love and peace and blessings to you. And we'll be back with you Wednesday next week at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Take care.